Boom. And we are live with another episode of the Brownwater Banter Podcast. My name is Jared Seymour.
My name is Joey Cates.
That's right. And we got a great episode this evening. Here we have Donnie in the studio from Premier Detailing. He's going to be telling us how we keep our boat clean, how to protect it from the sun, how to keep it looking good, sparkling, everything you need to know about getting ready for this summer, man. Yeah. It's going to be a good one. Before we jump into all of that, though, right out of the gate, 2023, the year to keep your mouth clean. Yeah. Go check out at Southern Magnolia Smiles on Facebook and Instagram. That's Dr. Robbie Williams and all of his friendly staff right there. If you're looking for a great local dentist, man, give him a call at 228-215-1202 and book that appointment and tell him that you heard about him on the Brownwater Banter Podcast.
Went last week. Dr. Bob hooked me up, bro.
Yeah, he always does. Every time we go over there, it's been a great experience and always will be. Hilltree Marketing is our next sponsor, and that's Jesse Hill and his team. He put together here a locally owned and operated company that's worked with many of the same brands that you're probably familiar with, building websites from the ground up. He does the photography, the videography. He can film commercials for you. He can do all the IT side of things for you, the back side of your website that you may need if you're selling products. Just jump over to hilltreemarketing.com, check it out, see some of the work that he's done, or go to brownwaterbanter.com, shameless plug, because he built our website for us as well.
And we won a daggum award for it.
That's right. That's right. Our buddy Rocky Brooks, he's still holding it down with us over at Cedar Swamp. Take Goche Van Cleve exit and head south. That C2 Swamp. He's a local store here, man. He keep your money in the community when you can. He sells apparel, rods, reels, fishing tackle, everything you need for fun out on a fun day out on the water. He's got it for you right here.
Got store number 2 coming to Gulfport.
That's right.
In the old Sports Unlimited building, if you know where that's at.
Poor Rocky. I've been seeing his Facebook post. So it's just like anything else, probably like a boat, right? You think you know what you got, and then you open up, look under the hood.
Oh,
it's
no,
like,
sheetrock's going.
Yeah, it's way worse than we thought.
Not again.
Now, Rocky will get it handled, though. No problem. And he'll get that second location open. But go check him out, Goche Van Cleve, or hit him up on Facebook. See the number 2 and Swamp, and you can see all the things that he's got going on over there. Taylor and Cox Law Firm. They've been practicing law over in Pascagoula for over 30 years. If you find yourself in the need for an attorney, a good local reputable attorney who'll go to bat for you, we highly recommend checking out Taylor and Cox Law Firm. They specialize in criminal law, family law, and civil litigation defense. So if you're in that boat and you need someone to represent you, give them a call at 228-696-0111 and tell them again that you heard about them here on the Brownwater Banter Podcast.
That's right.
2 events that we have coming up. April the 1st, April Fool's Day, but it's not a joke.
It's not a joke.
But it is funny that you can turn a hardhead catfish into $700. That is funny. We have the Bay Rat Bash. It's our, inaugural, because it's the first
Inaugural.
Bay Rat Bash. We teamed up with our buddies from Fish in the South. And like I said here, you can turn the first place heaviest hardhead catfish into $700. Second place is going to get $300. Then we have a side kicker division of black drum, croaker, sheep's head. So those fish will pay out as well. $400 for first, $100 for second. And then there's a completely separate spearfish division that is, if you don't spearfish or scuba dive, you don't even need to worry about it.
That's right.
If you do that sort of thing, go to the website and check that division out, and you can join that instead of. You can't do both, right? Because we can't have people trying to win rod and reel
unless
fish.
you want to dive on
with a hole
Ocean Springs.
With a hole in
unless you want to dive in Back Bay, yeah.
No, even then it works. Who shot this hardhead catfish in the head? It's like, no, I caught him with a pole. What's that big hole?
You got a hole in his head.
Yeah, so disqualified right out of the gate. And then also Rockin' the Sound is going to be coming up, not this Saturday, but next Saturday, March the 18th. It's an all-day music fest at Point Cadet Plaza. There's going to be 12 bands. Music's going to start at 11 a.m. and go all the way till probably ending about 11 p.m.
Ooh, that's a grind.
It's a grind, baby. But if you're into music, I highly suggest go checking it out. Non-Point's going to be the headliner. They're kind of a hard rock act if you've never heard of them. But there's a lot of different genres of music that's going to be playing. Specifically, maybe more for people in this audience would be, I would suggest Black Top Mojo.
Yeah.
Man, if you haven't heard of them, go look them up on Spotify, YouTube, wherever. Black Top Mojo. They are Southern rock is the best way I would describe it. Kind of got a little bit of
Leonard Skinner-ish.
A little Skinner-y vibe, a lot of flavors in there that I think people would dig. So go check them out. And if that's something that you're into, jump over to thesound228.com. You can get your tickets now. It's only $35 for all day show. So can't beat that.
Not a deal.
Yeah, we didn't. When there's no Ticketmaster, no Ticketmaster bullshit on that. So So anyway, all right. So now
Yeah.
that we got that out of the way, let's jump into the good stuff here.
The meat and taters.
The meat and taters, baby. So Donnie, man, Premier Detailing. How long have you been at this? How long have you been doing this stuff?
I've been detailing since I was 17, and I'm 41. So,
Okay, all
wow.
right. So Joey's in the 40 club. I myself have not crossed that
But
hurdle
you're
yet.
catching up very
Not,
quickly.
I've got a long time. If you define long time as
Yeah.
3 months,
Yeah.
before I'm
Yeah.
in that club with y'all.
Well,
So
yeah,
I'm
how
holding on to every minute, baby.
How did you get started? Was it just kicking cars around and stuff like that back in the day?
It was. My mom was
I can get
friends
some
with
water.
a gentleman that owned a car lot in Long Beach. I grew up in Long Beach, and I was always a hustler. I was always looking for ways to make extra money. I always had a part-time job, but I was always looking for ways to make extra money. And he's like, "Hey, tell your son if he wants to make some money, I could really use some help on the lot." So I went to work with him, and that's where I cut my teeth learning, just the basics of auto detailing. And I was hooked. I mean, it just instant gratification when you can take a vehicle that looks like garbage
Yes.
and make it look like
brand new.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard of Chris Fix It? It's a
No.
YouTube channel, all right, and he does like a GoPro on the body.
Is that the one that takes some disaster cars?
Man, like cars that just look like somebody, like, I don't know, had a mud fight inside of it. Like you would never think you could get it back to looking new, but he shows you every bit of the process, all the way down to like a toothbrush on certain spots, and he has this steam cleaner. I actually bought the steam cleaner that he suggested, and it is legit. $80-$90, but it'll turn carpet in a car to looking brand new if you know how to do it and you put the time into it, right?
Sure.
But you talk about instant gratification. It really is kick ass what you can do.
Absolutely.
And I think it takes a special kind of person because you got to be attention to detail.
Very.
Especially when
OCD.
I mean, that's one way to say, especially when you get into these higher up cars and higher up boats.
Yes.
I mean, these people are paying big money and have a lot of money sunk into this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, we've done, we travel. I don't know if viewers know that, but we're mobile. We go from, I've gone from Louisiana to the panhandle of Florida.
Damn.
To do boats. And, you bring up the price of boats, and it's like, man, we went and did a 39-foot Nortec over in Springfield, Louisiana. It's in the middle of nowhere.
Right.
Beautiful boat. Probably my favorite boat I've done thus far.
Okay.
And you're talking about a $650,000 to $750,000 boat.
Yeah.
It's like,
the people are trusting you with to be messing with their gel coats and
absolutely
and the whatnots of it. So
that's tough.
Yeah.
For sure. So, I mean, after the detailing, you got in high school, and then where did you go?
Oh, that's
You bounce around for a
it
little
did
bit?
bounce around. Detailing was always kind of in my back pocket.
Didn't we all kind of bounce around?
Didn't we all? Trying to find our way, right?
Right.
As I say, there are no answers, only the search.
Correct.
It's the journey, not
It's
the
journey.
destination. Yeah.
The journey is where you learn.
Yeah.
And I went off to college. I actually have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in history, one in criminal justice. Got certified to teach 7th through 12th grade.
Oh, terrible idea.
It was terrible.
I do it every day.
That's what he does. So Katrina hit. All the the majority of students were displaced, and the schools weren't really hiring. Went through retail, which any of the viewers out there that have done retail, my heart goes out to you because I know what that's like. And it's brutal.
Right.
And so I went through that. Did that for 14 years. Got into food route sales and did that for 10 years. And then that started going kind of south. And I said, I sold a route I had, and I said, I can either be redneck rich for a couple of months, or I can, reinvest this money.
Yeah.
But I was like, man, what do I do?
Yep.
And it took me about good 4 months, and people would say, you need to get back into detailing full time.
Yeah.
And I was on my route one day, and a fellow detailer walked in to the store I was at, and I've been wanting to reach out to him, just kind of pick his brain. And he walked
in. It was like divine intervention.
It was, man. It really was divine intervention. I totally believe that. And I said, look, it's not coincidence you're here right now.
Right.
I said, I have been wanting to reach out to you. And he said, look, any question you have, let me know. And I'll be happy to help you. And Kyle Donovan, if you're out there listening,
big shout out to Kyle.
Big shout out to Kyle. And he said, look, there are a lot of new products and things. And if you have any questions, let me know. Literally the next week, I went out and spent about 10 grand
Ooh,
on a trailer,
a big round number.
supplies,
Yeah.
anything and everything you could imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm going to do it,
Do it big.
I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
Right.
There is
Right.
no
Half-assing it, yeah.
half-ass. There is
Yeah.
no plan B.
Right.
Because if you have a plan B,
You're
going to fail.
You don't
Right.
execute plan A worth a damn.
That's
Yeah.
everybody in my family is self-employed.
Yeah.
We're all wired that way. And so I did that within 4 months. I was making as much part-time detailing as I was full-time on my food route.
Really?
Absolutely.
Damn.
And then it just was like, it hit me.
Yeah.
How much money am I really missing out by not doing this full-time?
Right.
And
When you were part-time in it right there, were you just part-time and that's it? Or were you doing something else too?
I was running my food route. I had a Little Debbie route for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I thought you got into it after you sold the route.
No, I was already doing it part-time because
Okay.
that kind of business, you can get up at 4 or 5 a.m., go work your route, and you're home by 1, 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
Right.
And
right.
then it's like, what do I do
Yeah.
with the rest
Grab
of the
something to
day?
eat, go clean the
Right,
toilet, go clean the car, or something
exactly. So I did that, and it just took off like a rocket.
Mhm.
I just couldn't believe the outpouring.
How'd you get
Yeah.
your name out there initially?
Initially, so I knew I had to make a business Facebook page,
Right.
so I started that.
Okay.
And telling my secrets here, but
Right.
Yeah.
my mother has a lifted black 2012 Chevy Silverado, water spots galore, black. Any detailer out there knows black vehicles are the worst.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I started with her vehicle. My sister's got a black BMW, and that's some of the softest paint you'll do with. I did their cars. Those are my first 2 cars I did, and I posted it on Facebook. And from there, it was just like, hey, when you can do mine? When you can do mine? And then, my sister knew a lot of people, and my mom knew a lot of people, and I got a lot of word of mouth through them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I got into boats, which is really my passion, because I've grown up on the water my entire life.
Right.
I had a boat when I was 12 years old. That
Right.
was my first boat, and never had anything fancy or glamorous
Don't
like
matter.
a 39 Nortec.
Right. As long as you
As
get
long
out
as it
there,
floats.
yeah,
That's
you get out
right.
there, catch a
That's
fish or
right.
catch
Yeah.
a buzz, whichever one.
That's right. And then I started educating myself on ceramic coatings for boats, and I got hooked up with a supplier, and it's been wonderful. It's been wonderful.
It seems like in that line of work, it's almost like a good framer or a good painter or a good electrician. Once you know a guy,
Yeah.
you know a guy forever. Like
I
you're not
think-
going to say,
yeah.
you know what, I'm going to go try somebody. Well, I don't need to try anybody.
Right.
That's
You
it.
know what I'm saying?
That's it.
Right.
Like you're going to detail my car, my boat, my kids,
Absolutely.
all their other stuff, the whole family
I
pretty
think
much.
that's with any trade.
Yeah.
It really is.
That's
Any
a very
trade.
good point you made.
Yeah. Yeah. I
With
know,
any
like a
trade.
mechanic. If you find a good mechanic that you feel is honest and does good work, and
Yeah,
gets
you're
you-
going to send
get
everybody
your
there.
vehicle back on time or not tell anybody about it. So you
Yeah,
don't get
that's the only thing bad is
Right,
it's
just don't- I'm not
when
telling
everybody
anybody
gets in
about
with
it.
you, you're like, oh,
Yeah.
I can't get to you because I
Yeah,
got all this other
yeah.
stuff going on, which I'm sure you got.
This is our busy time of the year.
Oh yeah, that sun came out last weekend. It started getting warm,
Man.
and
Yeah.
everybody I saw was walking around like this, like I want to go to Hort Island tomorrow. I want to go to Hort Island tomorrow. So I knew the boat was coming quick.
Oh yeah. I've every day. So I did the Biloxi Boat Show here locally.
Yep.
It's my second year doing it, and it was a little different this year. So last year I booked 15 jobs at the show.
Okay.
So fast forward to this year, different crowd.
Right.
Yeah,
I only booked 2 jobs during that weekend.
That's weird because I feel like Joey.
I feel there was more
there
people
was
there.
more people there this year. I guess just a different
Well,
type.
here's what happened. There were more people that needed to go home and think about it and mull it over. And now my phone is going off
Okay.
literally. I'm not
Yeah.
exaggerating when I tell you every single day.
Okay, so it's just
I'm
a little
getting a
delayed.
phone
It was
call.
a delayed.
Well, I guess
It
that
was a
makes sense
delayed
because
response.
if you think about it, last year, there was like 6 boats.
Well,
you know what I'm
that's
saying?
true.
And if you
Mhm.
bought one, you had to order it. You couldn't buy that one. You had to wait. You know what
So
I'm saying?
I think
Yeah.
COVID had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
People were just happy to get out and get into a show like that
Yeah.
and feel normal again.
Mhm, mhm.
And then another thing is they saw the price
Oh,
of new boats.
Right.
golly.
It's
And
crazy.
so I personally have a 23-foot Classic Mako. So if you were to go and price a brand new 23-foot Sportsman, Nautic Star, Sea Pro, any of the brands you're going to find here locally, you're talking
About 100,
190
yeah.
to 110,
Correct.
120. I mean, depending on how you outfit it, I mean, I've seen them go for 130.
And the price, and the crazy thing is, they're not getting any cheaper.
No, they're not.
They're not going to.
Yes.
They're not going to.
So I do ceramic coating jobs for Seven Seas Marine. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Chris Fetters. I know that guy.
Chris is awesome.
We know Chris.
Love Chris. But he told me on average, boats are going up about 12% every year.
And you know what's crazy is because we were at the boat show, right, pretty much right across from you, and I talked to Mr. Canui, who is coached one of his kids, and he's the banker there. And he walked up to me, and I was like, "Man, what's going on?" He was like, "Guess what the interest rate is on $100,000?" I was like, "What?" He goes, 9%.
Yeah, and I remember him saying, I was standing right there. Wow. I think it's actually 5 though. I was in there. I was in the bank yesterday and noticed they had a big sign. It said boat loans, and it said 5 point something percent.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it moved since
then. Boats are just below 6%.
Yeah. And because I told some people about that, and they were like, "No, I think it's 5." So I don't know if he was just a little off, or
maybe, I don't know where that was. But 9%. I was like, "What?"
But you bring up a very good point. We're talking about the price of boats and $100,000, right?
Right.
So it's like, why would you spend $100,000 and not spend a little? We're talking a fraction more
of that price
to protect your investment. And I don't know if it's people just don't think about it, or they're like sticker shock. Oh my God, I just spent $100,000 on a boat and I need to chill out.
Right.
But a lot of what we don't do just new boats. We do a lot of 2015, 2016, that era of 10-year-old boat.
Mm-hmm. Well, you'll probably see more of that because people aren't going out and get the 100,000 boats.
We do, and it's cheaper, to hire us to come out and make your boat look new again than it is for you to go out and spend $100,000 on a brand new boat. I did a test spot on a 2015 22-foot Blazer Bay yesterday. We were ceramic coating his wife's brand new Jeep Rubicon he bought for her, and he had his Blazer Bay. I said, "Man, we can really do some magic on that boat." He said, "Well, would you mind doing a test spot?" I said, "Absolutely." So I went over there and did it. He was blown away.
Yeah, he didn't know what he had.
Yeah. And that's the same boat I got, so it's got a little bitty tiny size on it too. So,
and his response was, "When can you do it?"
Yeah,
yeah. I learned a lot about this whole world here recently because I had to get mine. We talked about this. I had to get mine redone. Bought a 2009 24-foot Century and didn't really pay attention, acknowledge whatever, just how oxidized the boat really was. Right. Yeah. So I know what your guy that you're referring to right there. I know what he's talking about when you see it. You're like, holy crap! It turned my boat having wet sanded, then waxed, polished, whatever. After that. It looks like almost now, there's some spots I can still see, but I could pay more to have decals removed and get the little tiny crevices, whatever. But it transformed my boat into something completely different. So I bring all that up to say, can you walk us down the process? So you buy a brand new boat. Everybody knows how a brand new boat looks, right? But over time, they sit outside. The sun hits them.
Salt water eats it up.
Right. The UV rays, right?
Correct.
And it oxidizes that outer coating, which is the gel coat.
Correct.
Because I had to learn this myself. I've been on boats all my life, but just never. Yeah. I mean, gel coat, whatever. But I didn't know about the maintenance part of it.
So the way that boats are made is they're fiberglass,
right?
And then a mold is made, and then they spray it with gel coat and sand, and that's what gives you that slick, pretty finish.
Right. Justin's in the comments right there. He said, "Bring them back to life." Yeah, yes, sir, you did. Yes.
So gel coat is typically 0.5 to 0.8 millimeters thick.
Right. So it's not very thick.
And so it's not very thick, and so when the UV rays of the sun are baking your boat day in and day out, and our summers here are brutal.
Yes.
Right.
Brutal. There comes a point where that gel coat starts turning into chalk.
Yes.
And a lot of your listeners will relate to that because it's like, why am I getting this chalk on my hand?
My father-in-law's boat was the worst. Like you could get in and close the hatch.
Yeah.
I mean, your knees are white, your elbows are white. It's like, what's going on here?
Like Casper.
Look, Ashy Larry. That's what you look
Yeah, it's almost like the headlights of a car, right? They do the same kind of thing.
Yes.
I know it's not a gel coat.
Right.
It's plastic.
Right.
But, same situation.
So when we go in, or I go and you give an estimate on a boat, the best way to do is to do a test spot to see kind of what we're going to have to do and how many steps we're going to have to do to bring your boat back to life. Sometimes, like with your boat, that was wet sanding.
Right.
With wet sanding, typically it's not just one step.
No.
Typically, you like with your boat. I know because I spoke to Justin.
He was out there for like a week and a
It was
half.
bad, dude. It was so bad. It was so bad.
But you know, sometimes we go down as far as 320 grit sandpaper.
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's what woodworkers
Yeah,
use.
yeah.
And it's like, oh my God, what 320? You know, you got the owner watching you like,
And you got a half a
their eyes are
millimeter like this.
and
Yeah.
you've got half of a millimeter to
Yeah.
work with. And so to break it down, sometimes we have to go down to 320. Sometimes it's 500. And then if you go down to 320, it's 320, 500, 800, 1,000, 1,500, you know, and then you can start buffing with your compound and then you polish it and then you coat it. It's not, you know, a lot of people say, oh, my boat's in great shape. It just needs a good wash and wax. And then you get there and you're like, I don't know what you think wax does, but this,
so
it needs a little more than that.
If I'm following you right, the outside of the gel coat, the outside layer will get chalky from the sun.
Correct.
Everything like that. So you got to tear that down to where there's actually a clear layer of gel coat.
Correct.
And then bring it back up.
Correct. So it's pretty much like exfoliating your skin.
Right. Pull the dead skin cells off.
And gel coat and paint is no different than our skin as humans. It's porous.
Mm-hmm.
And so what happens when the UV rays are baking that, it opens up the pores of the gel coat. And then we have nasty water.
Right.
So then you've got all the dirt and the film and the nastiness just getting in those holes that are the pores of your gel coat. And that's why it stains it and you get that water line. And so we have to take it down to where there's, you know, virgin gel coat that's never seen daylight. And we only have 0.8 to,
half a millimeter.
That's right. Half a millimeter is the typical.
Not a lot of wiggle room.
Not a lot of wiggle room.
Not at all.
And that's like, you know, I had a gentleman that contacted me. He found me on The Whole Truth, and he has a 30-foot Glacier Bay, and it's yellow, yellow stripe, big yellow stripe on the outside. And he said, hey, look, I found you on Whole Truth. You came highly recommended. I want you to go look at my boat and tell me what's going to cost to, you know, to detail it. So I went and looked at it, and I called him back, and I said, I'll be honest with you. I could take your money and do the job, and you never be the wiser. I said, but that's not how I do business. I said, I'm honest with you, and I'm going to tell you straight up, there's really nothing I can do for the boat because the gel coat and yellow. Anybody listening out there that's had a yellow boat, you know what I'm talking about. Yellow is probably the hardest color to bring back.
Okay.
Because what happens at the factory is they add pigmentation to gel coat to make it change color.
Okay.
And so your lighter colors have less pigmentation. You would think a black boat would be the hardest, but it's not.
Really?
Okay.
Because it has more ink. It's more ink. Yeah, exactly. More ink. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
So, you know, he was very thankful. He's like, I appreciate your honesty. And
so what would have happened? Just say, for instance, if you would have went ahead and done that, you'd have wet sanded it down.
The boat had already been wet sanded by somebody before me.
So you could tell by looking at it.
I could tell by looking at it.
We can't even wet sand it.
You could actually see, if you've got a boat and you're seeing like blue specks, little specks, sometimes they're tiny.
Okay.
Sometimes they'll be as big as a dime. And that is your fiberglass. That's your fiber. Your gel coat is so thin that you're starting to see spotting from the oxidation.
Okay.
So once you get down to that level, there's nothing a detailer can do.
There's only so much you can do.
Right.
We did a 46-foot Grand Banks out at Bay Marine a couple weeks ago, and that was a monster job.
I bet.
It was a monster. And upon doing my test spot, I went over with the owner and I said, I'm honest with you, I can't, there's no wet sanding this. If I do that, I'm going to burn right through what little bit of gel coat you have left.
Okay.
So, and we did it, and it turned out great for what it was.
Right.
It was a good looking boat, but
he just said roll with it.
He said roll with it. It's a 21-year-old boat. He's just, I don't know how many owners have had it before him, but that all goes back to that's like the end of the road. That's the end of life for your gel coat. That's why maintaining your boat and having it, if you're not going to pay somebody to do it, that's fine. There's plenty of boats out there. but it needs to be done on a consistent basis, because if
Right.
not, that's what you're going to end up with. And then you spent, we throw out that $100,000 number.
Right.
So if you spent that $100,000, I've
On
seen
the boat.
on the boat,
Yeah.
and then on top of that, all your whatever else you bought for the boat, $10,000 in audio equipment.
Yeah,
Right.
And
for
then
sure. For
and
sure.
then the boat looks like crap.
Yeah.
And so it's like you spend a little bit of money, do it yourself, or hire a professional and have us come out and do it, so that your boat isn't looking like 10,000 when you spend $100,000 on it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Go ahead.
Chris Noble in the comments. You know Chris? Chris is a good friend of mine.
That's a good dude.
He's a very good dude. He said, this dude works hard and knows the science behind the method and the products he uses.
Yeah.
So good compliment.
Well,
there.
explain.
Thanks for watching, Chris.
You brought us to the grave. What happens when it gets to death, to the boat, to the gel coat? What happens after that?
So you have two options.
Yeah.
You can either have the boat re-gel coated, or you can have it painted. I myself, you really can't tell visually
The difference?
You can't.
Really?
Not
Okay.
really, no.
Okay.
No.
So with that paint, if you go the painted option, because I think the gel coat option is expensive, right? For them to do that.
Probably the paint. It's probably about the same price.
Neither
right?
one are cheap.
Yeah.
So that
yeah, I'm about to say
Well,
right.
terrible
Bring
answer. Bring out another $1,000.
exactly,
You know,
exactly.
like that Glacier Bay I mentioned, the yellow that I turned down. I got a quote for it to be repainted. Just the yellow was $4,500. That was paint, not gel coat. So could have spent a fraction of that
Right.
to begin with.
Yeah.
Right.
And then avoided $4,500 in paint, plus the additional cost of me ceramic coating over that yellow.
Okay.
So do you sand down? Okay, let's talk the painted option. You sand it all the way down to the glass and then paint that, or do you just
you're
paint
not
right
going to
over?
sand all the way down to the glass.
Okay.
I personally redid an 1989 23-foot Mako back around 2014 or 15.
You like them barges, don't you?
I know, man.
Those suckers are heavy, but they're war horses.
Is
man.
that what Rusty redid? Was his a Mako?
Rusty's a Mako.
Yeah,
too. They like
that
them
thing
old
looked
things.
fine.
Yeah,
though,
they
when it
Oh
was
yeah,
done.
I know Rusty.
It's not a better.
I know Rusty.
It's
Yeah,
not a
Rusty's
better
fine.
riding boat,
No,
but
that's
those
not.
suckers are tanks.
They
dude.
are
They are
tanks.
tanks.
They
yeah.
are tanks.
It's not a good riding boat.
I said
It
it's not a
is.
bad riding boat,
okay,
but
yeah.
they are tanks.
Yeah, yeah.
Those-
His looked fine when it was
Yeah.
done. I only saw it in pictures.
Yeah. So to answer your question, you go down. You can go like I sanded my whole boat with 80 grit, which is
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah, that's what I use in my shop.
Right.
Right.
That's woodworking grit.
Yeah.
Right.
And I was like, "Are you sure?" The guy that did it for you said, "Yeah, you're not gonna mess it. I'm gonna use high build primer. You won't see any of those scratches once you do that." He says it's gonna be the quickest way for you to prep your boat. And so I did all the prep work myself.
Okay.
And then he came back in and painted it, and man, it turned out amazing.
So the primer fills in all the
Yes.
all the circles, I guess,
Yes.
from us sanding it in,
Yes.
and then you paint right back over it.
Correct.
What kind of paint are we talking here? Marine
Marine, yes. So
sprayed?
DuPont is the most popular or common, and you've got DuPont Imron, which is your top shelf.
Okay.
Like if you're going to order a margarita,
Right.
top
Yeah.
shelf.
Oh yeah.
And
Highly
then
familiar.
Yeah, and then you've got they make another grade below that called Nason. And so those are real popular. There are other, All Grip is another type of paint. There's all kind of different marine paint manufacturers out there that are good.
Is that sprayed?
It is sprayed.
Like
So you can't do it in your backyard.
No,
You gotta
I
get a
actually-
professional.
I thought about doing it. I had
Yeah.
a big shop, and I had taken the Visqueen and blocked everything off. I went and bought a 80-gallon compressor, and
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this thing. And then I thought, what are you doing?
That was the same thing that I thought
Yeah.
about doing my boat.
Yeah.
I was like, I know how to use a sander.
Yeah.
Why can't I do this?
Yeah.
And man,
Man,
thank
no.
God, I walked it all the way
Yeah.
through in my head. I'm like, everything else that I've ever done like this outside of the norm, there's always that one thing that happens, or that one tool that you need, or that one trick that you
That's
don't know
it. That's
that
it.
costs you hours. And I was like, nah,
Man.
not gonna
Yeah,
do
so I
it.
was like, I'll do all the prep work, and I'm going to take the professional to have
Yeah.
it painted.
yes.
We can all be cheap, but there comes a time where you got to
Yes.
spend.
Well, I mean, you were thrifty enough to save.
Yeah.
On the front
Oh,
end.
yeah.
And
I
I
saved-
guess the front
I
end
saved a
prep
lot.
paint is 90% prep.
It is.
Right.
Pretty much. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? If you
Mhm.
prep it right,
Yeah.
the paint's, from what I hear, easy.
That's
I
my
don't paint.
business
Yeah.
too. I can totally relate, because if your prep work is not right, a ceramic coating is not going to adhere to your gel coat
Okay.
or your paint the way that it should if you prep work it.
Now, when they paint the boat, they don't put another gel coat over that paint,
No,
right? Is it like just like a clear coat sealer, like a car, or
you
no?
can do clear coat over paint, and a lot of guys do, which is highly recommended.
Okay.
Because it's easier to clean, it's easier to coat, and it
Because without it, would it look dull or not shiny?
It's still gonna be
That's
shiny.
the best part of a boat is it looks kind of like that mirror finish.
It's gonna
right?
be a mirror finish when it comes out of the painter's booth,
but it may not last.
But what are you gonna do to maintain that look?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just like we're going back to
same thing.
Bring
though,
it
right?
back up.
thing
You need to hit it with
to what you started
with a wax.
Yeah.
Is that what you're
Correct.
getting at? Yeah,
So you're bringing that up, and every boat has, it's foot oil change. You should be doing that the same way or even more with your gel coat.
Correct.
Right? What do you recommend?
That's a great question, and one that a lot of people want to know, and probably maybe not think to ask.
Right.
But the difference in wax and ceramic, wax is typically going to last you in our environment maybe 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And you've got to stay on top of waxing your boat every 3 to 4 months.
Now, when you say 3 to 4 months, is that based on usage, or is just sitting on a trailer with the
that
element?
is based on usage. If you're not using your boat very much and it's sitting in a shop,
right?
If it's covered,
and it's covered and all that, you're probably going to get 6 months.
Okay, that was a loaded question.
No, it's a great
Mine
question.
sits on the trailer a little bit more.
But his isn't covered, but you're still getting beat by sun.
Right.
Sure.
So if it's covered,
at my dad's house.
it's covered. Yeah, you probably get a little bit more life out of that wax.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So wax, the melting point in wax is 100 to 140 degrees. And we all know, again, how hot it gets here.
Yeah.
Our heat index last year, I remember, get to 117 one day.
I'm not looking forward to
nuts. Whereas ceramic, the melting point on ceramic is somewhere in between 1,000 and 1,600 degrees.
So you got to get up there.
Regardless, depending on what product
2 months out of the year, it'll melt.
August. July and August.
So August, the ceramic's gone. That's what I'm hearing. Okay, sure.
So, that's typically your life. Ceramics 3 to 5 years. We've seen some boats we've done 7 years. They've gotten 7 years out of their life of ceramic. But again, going back to what you said, great point. It depends on usage and how you take care of it.
So you're saying probably about 3 times a year you put a fresh coat of wax.
Yes.
Or get somebody to put
if you're gonna, if you're using something like Colonite or McGuire's marine wax or something.
So
like
the
that.
regular Jimmy Joe goes to the academy and says, "Hey, I got this Starbite, whatever it is." And we put it on there. That should last 3 months.
Yes. You should easily get 3 months.
Okay. And is the stuff that I'm guessing the stuff y'all are using is probably a little bit more stronger than the stuff from Academy? Okay.
Yes, it is. We I order my stuff through a multitude of suppliers. You find out who has the best this, who has the best that, and that's who you pull from to give the best, product back to your client.
Right.
Yeah. Can you, I mean, we've touched on a lot of it, but like walk through the process. So somebody makes that phone call, gets you over to their house because you are mobile. You walk up there, you do the test spot to show them. Is that how that process would go? They say, pull the trigger. What am I going to see you start? The sanding part, or it's going to vary based on the boat's
It will
condition?
vary, but every boat's going to start with your basic wash.
Okay.
We're going to get all the stuff out of the boxes, life jackets, fishing tackle, all that good stuff. We're going to get that.
All that shit I didn't know where it went. Oh, that's where that went. Thanks for finding that for me. Yeah.
3 cases of beer.
Natty Light cans come from. Oh, you remember
you'd be surprised.
I
wouldn't be surprised what we have found in those.
It.
It's like, hey, y'all had a little bit too good a time
last
last weekend.
Right.
And then the owner's
whole bathing suit in here.
Whose is this?
And that's when the husband says, "I'm still in the doghouse."
Yeah.
But every boat starts with a decontamination wash, and that's to remove just the top layer of dirt and salt and anything that's there. We're again going to open your boxes, empty your boxes, clean your boxes, and then dry the entire boat, and that's so it's prepped.
Right.
Okay. Then we're going to go and let's just say I've got to do a 1-step wet sand. So we're going to wet sand the areas. And typically most boats are trimmed in a different color than white. So like Nautic Star, I've probably done more Nautic Stars than any other brand of boat.
Yeah.
And blue is the most common.
At least a stripe.
At least, the blue stripe. And so like we're I've got to go finish one Monday that we started, and it's blue and white,
Mhm.
and the white is perfectly fine, but the blue isn't, and so I'm having to wet sand the blue. So I'll go in and I'll wet sand around the whole boat with the blue,
Uh-huh.
and then we'll go back. If I've got to go down to like 500 grit, then I'll come back with 1,000 grit, and then I'll start compounding. And a lot of people say, my boat just needs a good polish. Well, there's a difference between compounding and polishing, and compound is typically equal to a 600 to 800 grit sandpaper.
Okay.
Okay, and then a polish is going to be somewhere around a 1,200 to 1,500 grit sandpaper, and so it's a multitude of steps to get the desired outcome depending on the boat.
Right.
So you wet sand, then we're going to do a heavy compound, which I use a product by Stark Yacht Care out of Florida, and it's a very, very popular product. It's a wonderful product,
Right.
and we start with that, and then we're going to go to polish it, and then we're going to coat it with either your choice of wax or ceramic.
Okay.
Whatever you decide to coat your boat with, that's what we do.
Yeah.
And that's a whole process.
Yeah, it is.
We,
and there's a lot of labor. That's a labor intensive.
It's very labor intensive. I have a full-time guy and a part-time guy that works for me currently. And we will typically, depending on the size of the boat, with three of us, we can knock out a 21 to 23, 24 foot boat in a day.
Mm-hmm.
If it's bigger than that, I always give you 2 days.
Right.
I don't try to do a rush job on it. I've tried to do a boat in one day before, and it's like, wow, that was just way too much work.
Well, I guess it also depends on, Jared's boat sides are 3 foot tall.
Right. Sure.
My Blazer Bay sides are this big.
Absolutely.
So it all depends on
like we just
center
did
console.
Yep. We just did a brand new 25-foot Skeeter bay boat, brand new, a bay boat. The sides are not like your
They're
boat.
like this boat. Yeah,
they're not tall. So we knocked it out in a day.
Yeah.
Now
sorry. Was that just wax though? Right. It's brand new.
It was brand new. So a brand new boat. We're not going to wet sand.
Right,
we're not going to do a heavy, harsh compound. But we are going to polish out your entire boat, because regardless of what people think, just because you buy a brand new boat, that doesn't mean that it looks as good as it possibly can.
That's true.
They
sit out.
Yeah, they sit on lots for a long time.
They sit on lots. They come in on an 18-wheeler, so you're getting road debris. And yes, they wrap them.
Right.
But that wrap leaves marring and scratches and marks of various natures on the boat. And so when you get it, you're like, oh, this looks great. And then once we get done with it, they're like, I didn't think the boat could look any better.
This looks better.
I can't believe it looks better than this.
Yeah.
And you can actually see when you're polishing, you'll see the gel coat change color. It has a
the old and the
deeper, richer color that it's supposed to have. And here's the thing, COVID changed the way that a lot of boat manufacturers, I'm not saying all, but a lot of boat manufacturers, especially the ones that we see locally, they're more of like a budget. Who to think a $100,000 boat is a budget boat, but that's just the world we live in now.
Yeah.
And so we're seeing these boats come straight from the factory, and there's swirl marks all over it. There are gel coat imperfections.
Okay.
And
I'm sure it's just like glass. Different manufacturers use different processes,
correct,
all that stuff. So it just depends on if you get a good manufacturer, if you get a good person at the plant that day.
That's right. You're right. So their finish work is not really what it used to be, because it doesn't have to be. Because look at the amount of boats that were sold since COVID. They don't have to do that. So that's why I say just because your boat's new doesn't mean it's looking as good as it possibly can.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And so you got to make the choice between the wax job or the ceramic coat really towards at the end of the process there.
Correct.
And how do you price that? Is it's by the foot?
It's by the foot.
Correct.
Number one, it's by the foot.
Okay.
Number two, it's the condition of the boat, because condition is going to dictate how many steps we have to do, like we discussed earlier. And each step carries a price tag. And so if I have to do a 3-step at, X amount of dollars, let's just say it's round number. Let's just say it's $25 a foot per step.
Okay.
And I've got to do 5 steps. Well, that's $125 a foot.
Ooh.
Well, if you got a brand new boat and all I have to do is polish it and then wax it, well, then you're looking at, maybe $50 to $60 a foot.
Okay.
So we got and feet is going all the way up the sides and
That's inside and outside.
Okay.
That's interior and exterior.
Okay.
And then, your price for wax and ceramic is very different. Ceramic is that's the only, if you say, what is the downside of ceramic? I
It's
would
more
say
expensive.
it's more expensive.
Yeah, but it lasts longer.
Your upfront cost, it's it can be sticker shock.
Pay
for a
now,
lot of
save
people.
later.
That's
Yes.
exactly what it is.
Yeah.
And typically, like, we're going to talk about brand new boats because I can't look at everybody's used boat and say it's the same price. It's not.
Right.
But typically on a down here on the coast, 21 to 24 foot or 25 is like our sweet spot. That's probably the majority of people's boats fall in that range.
Yeah.
And typically, if it's new, we're somewhere around a bay boat. I might do a bay boat for 120, 130 a foot on some. Ceramic, break it down, you're actually coming out cheaper in the long run.
Buying the wax,
by doing the ceramic up front versus paying somebody to come out and polish and wax your boat every single year over 5 years. If I'm doing
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense.
If I'm charging you $60 a foot to do a compound, a polish, and then a wax every year, you do the math, and you've got a 23-foot boat. Do the math on that times 5 versus 150 a foot.
And if you're taking care of it, you want to
front.
at least do that twice a year, pretty much, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Minimum.
Yeah. We got some comments coming in. Lane, thanks for chiming in. He said this info is awesome. Josh from Caston Coastal is in the house. Thanks for watching, Josh. Josh Harmon from Fish in the South says he needs to get his boat done. He's got a Nautic Star that needs to get done. And then Greg, I'm going to say your last name wrong, Greg. Denault, Greg?
Yes.
You did a 2009 Mako for him. He said it looks fantastic. He said Donnie did the cleanup and he did an awesome job. Still looks great today.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate that.
I know Greg. Greg's a good dude.
We spent 3 days on his boat.
Did you?
3 days.
So his was a
and
fun
it's
one?
a 19-foot.
Holy
so
shit.
So think about that.
Yeah. That's not a 28 or 32.
No. And Greg was awesome to work with. We ended up being a little bit more work than I thought it was going to be. And we had to wet sand the boat before we could compound and polish. And I said, hey man, it's been a little bit more work. I'm very, very fair. Sometimes I'm too fair with people and I end up costing myself money, but my name means more to me than the money does. I've grown up on the coast my whole life. My family's one of the founding families of Ocean Springs.
Correct.
I've been here for forever.
Correct.
I have nowhere to run.
Right.
There's no plan B. So
right.
I said, hey man, we had to do a little bit more work and it's gonna be a little bit more money. He's like, I totally understand. And he said, I knew it was rough. And
he probably got plenty of money anyway.
And it's a pleasure to work with people that understand your craft.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people have tried it themselves. And I've got a client, he called me, it was a holiday. I forget which one it was, but he's freaking out.
Yeah.
He thought he had ruined his car. He said, man, I went and spent $200 on all these detailing chemicals and I've got water spots everywhere and I don't know what to do. And I just laughed at him. I'm like, man, chill out.
Yeah, we can fix it.
I'm out of town, but when I get back in, and he's been one of my best clients that I said, look, man, don't worry about it. I'll be over there next week. We'll fix it.
We'll knock it out.
What do you think your percentage split is on cars versus boats now?
This time of year, our boats really pick up.
Okay.
And again, the weather, like you said earlier, it's like the sun. You feel the sun. You're like, I got to be on the boat.
Yeah, it's bad.
And so then my phone starts going crazy because everyone's like, my boat is set up since last September. Because we all know when football season starts, people aren't going on the boats. That's so. This time of year, we do. Percentage wise, it's kind of hard to say because like last week we did that 46-foot boat and that was a week-long process.
Yeah.
And we took I had one of my guys work on that boat Thursday and me and the other guy went and did 6 or 7 vehicles on Thursday.
I guess that makes sense. It's probably about the same size.
Greg said in the comments you did it for the quoted price. That's what he said. I don't know. Which was even better.
Hey,
Sure. Hey, you're welcome, Greg.
The customer is always right.
That's right. You got hooked up, Greg. You got the hookup.
That's right. Yeah. That's good shit right there. Yeah, so so it kind of fluctuates throughout.
It does fluctuate through the year. When it's not boating season, it's nothing for us to do.
Which is weird, and that's the same thing. We had fetters in here, and a bunch of mechanics come in here. The off season is when you should be doing your work.
Can you say that louder?
Hey, let me
say that louder for the people in the back.
Off season is when you should be doing your work.
Let me tell you a little story about my lawn. I've been looking at that son of a bitch for months, going, I'm gonna bring it over to what is it? Over here on Pops Ferry, small engine repair. I'm gonna bring it over there, just get them to look at it. Sharpen the blades. Spark plugs. I'm gonna do it.
You don't do it until your grass is
I'm gonna do it way before it gets warm.
Yeah. Then he walks out one day and the weeds up to his knees.
It's now. It's like I was like, I need to cut my grass. I'm like, I need to go.
That lawnmower we had in the backyard. Have you seen it? Yeah, it's right there.
I haven't brought it yet. Is the moral of that story. So,
but I mean, it's tough because in everybody's line of work, mechanics, any of that stuff, everybody feels that first itch and goes, "Oh, I forgot I have a boat in my backyard."
That's it.
And really, the downtime is when you can get you pretty much any time of the week.
That is, and look, it's nothing against people that wait till last minute. I get it. We're all busy with life, but the people that are really forward thinking are the ones that I've done in November, December.
That's the best
January, February. Because this year we're having an abnormally warm. We had an abnormally warm February, and it's been correct me if I'm wrong, but it's been several years since it's been this warm.
What they call it on WLX fake winter or something like that.
Come on. We've lived out here any amount of time. We don't get the regular 4 seasons.
So really, boats we slow down in the fall during the time that people should be getting
that's when you should be getting your maintenance and all that stuff.
And your cleaning so you can store it. And some people do. They're like, hey man, I'm finished with it for the year. I'm about to put it in my storage unit. I'm about to put the cover on it. I need you to
so when you winterize, which we don't have a winter. Some people fish in the winter, but when you winterize your boat,
that's great trout fishing.
Yes. You should be doing your motor maintenance, your boat maintenance, your electronic maintenance, and your Jelco maintenance.
That's it. Yeah, that is. And I think people are more concerned about just not breaking down on the water than they are looking good on the water.
Right.
The comments are coming in. So my buddy Cody Holloman said he'd love to get a quote for his 28-foot adventure craft. So I dropped your Facebook page link in these comments. So all y'all got to do, everybody, that is just click right there.
You can just message me on Facebook, and I am super responsive with that. I'm as I tell people, it's not something I do as a hobby or a weekend warrior.
Right.
Like, this is my life. This is my business. So if you are serious, just reach out to me through Messenger, Premier Detailing on Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to get with you, and I'll come out and take a look at your boat and give you a free quote.
How far are you sitting out right now?
I had, as of right now, we're looking at like the second week of April.
Okay,
that's not terrible.
That's not terrible, but it's gonna get worse.
Yeah.
It will get worse.
Yeah.
It will. I've got I've actually have 3 boats that I have on my list that I haven't even gone to look at yet, which I'm doing this weekend. So if you're needing, it could domino effect and put me, to the middle to the end of April. We're going down to Venice, Louisiana. I talked, we're mobile.
Okay.
So going down to Venice in 2 weeks to do a 37 Freeman.
Okay.
And
good luck.
My shoulders are already hurting.
Dude, you don't have to go to the gym. I can tell you that. You're gonna look like Hulk when you get done with that.
Yeah. So we're doing that, and that's a 3-day. Like I said, I don't want to undercut myself on time and be rushed. So that's a 3-day ordeal there.
Yeah.
And so I'm saying this to explain to the listeners why I stay booked out that amount of time. Because when I do your boat, I'm there, and yes, I have help, but I'm going over your boat when we're finished.
You got the white gloves on going around.
Yeah, and I want you there, the owner. I'm not going to take your money until because I've done that in the past, and we're all human, right? Like nobody's perfect, and like we had 2 boats last summer. And I don't mind sharing this. I'm not someone that's going to say I'm perfect and I'm the best there ever was and is and will be.
Because there's enough to pass around forever.
Sure, absolutely. And we had 2 boats last year that one was a hatch. We had no idea the hatch was opened, and it was just kind of hidden by a cushion, and we didn't know. And the guy was like, "Hey man, there was this compartment here that y'all missed." I'm like, I'll be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
And I was there tomorrow. I was the next day.
Right.
I was there to take care of that. But that's why I book days and not just singular.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
For
Because you
your
never
boat.
know. Like,
You never
I got
know.
a little picture of my thing. It says
Yeah.
one broken bolt turns a 5-minute job into 3 days. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So
I mean,
you never know.
obviously, if you have a brand new boat and it's it's going to take us one day. It's a 23-foot boat. We can get that knocked out in a day, and you can be on your way fishing for the weekend or whatever.
Yeah. So Justin back in the comments, he said, seriously, he does. You and your guys, y'all do amazing work, and he highly recommends y'all. That's Justin saying that.
Thank you, Justin. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And then let's see, where was that? So Josh is asking. This is a good question. He said, "What's his opinion on an interior cleaner for the inside of a boat?"
Yeah, that was our going
So,
next. So we talked about the outside.
Yes.
Yeah.
What do we do about the inside?
Josh, I'm gonna speculate that you're referring to your cushions having mold on them.
Oh,
That's
okay.
terrible.
Yeah.
That's typically a big thing that people battle
Right.
with, and there's a variety of different things that you can use in products. There's one, it's McKee's 37, makes a really good marine vinyl upholstery cleaner.
Okay.
Some I might catch some backlash on this. You can use 30-second outdoor cleaner, which is found at Lowe's or Home Depot.
Okay.
It is not something that you want to use every single time because it does have a level of bleach in it. And for years I beat my head against the wall because people for years have used Dawn dish soap and bleach to clean their boats.
Right.
You're ruining your
boat.
gel coat.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's why it's
Well,
dull.
and the bleach, from what I've read, if you put it on your upholstery, it eats the stitching up.
It does. I was getting
Yeah, yeah.
absolutely. Great point. So with 30-second outdoor cleaner, it's really good to use for that initial clean to get that black molds, spots off of it and that algae and all that stuff that didn't coming out with your soap and brush. And then the more important thing is, what are you going to do to coat it?
Correct.
It's just like your gel coat. You can ceramic coat your upholstery.
Really?
And yes, and also again, Stark Yacht Care, and I don't get paid for throwing them out there, but they also make an upholstery sealant that you can put on your upholstery.
That's what I need because it's a double-edged sword. You keep it covered, you get mildewed on it.
Right.
You don't keep it covered, then
You
it
get the
turns.
UV.
Yeah, you get the UV.
Yeah.
I tell everybody a trick:
Go
if
ahead.
you keep it covered, if you'll keep a cheap box fan, go to like the dollar store and get you a $15 box fan and just keep it on.
There you go.
It
That makes
keeps air
tons of sense.
circulating.
Yeah, it keeps
in your
the moisture
boat,
moving.
and it won't do that if it's covered.
Really?
Yeah, I won't charge you any extra for that.
I just got an eBay receipt.
Who's
requesting money?
Yeah. Info. It just says info.
Yeah.
$25 for info. Shit. Yeah, that's a good one though. I like that. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yep.
So there's products out there that'll help seal the marine vinyl.
Absolutely.
That's what I need. I need that on mine. My boat stays pretty clean, but what kills me is the upholstery.
Yeah, that's a big deal on pontoons.
Yeah,
because
they're all upholstery.
man, if you have ever priced getting your upholstery redone, good.
Oh, it's
yeah,
$5,000.
I need to go to the SBA office to
Yeah.
get a loan or something,
Yep.
because it's on up there, and it's just like gel coat. You spend, again, I throw that $100,000 round number out there. You're look at your upholstery and what your upholstery is going to cost to have it redone.
Yeah.
You need to protect that.
Well,
as well.
I'll tell you a little trick I did on my boat. It was way cheaper for me to go to Blazer and buy a cushion than it was for me to reupholster it.
That was not the case for the Century.
See,
They
mine was
were way
way
crazy
cheaper.
expensive.
Mine
Holy
was
hell.
way cheaper, which maybe just Blazer. I don't know.
Was it a small cushion though? And
It was
only
like
one
my
cushion?
front cushion. He wanted, I'm not going to say who it was, but it was like
Yeah.
$300 to reupholster. It was $75 at Blazer.
Oh,
So I just
wow.
bought the whole cushion.
Yeah,
Wow.
well,
Yeah,
obviously, yeah, for sure. Another question here from Cody. He says, let me pull it up right here. He says, how does he handle a non-skid gel coat surface that is faded? And he says, not the sandpaper grit type, but the textured gel coat.
Like in a Blazer Bay, like I have.
Like the splatter
inside.
paint.
Yeah,
Okay.
splatter
paint.
Yeah.
Okay.
Typically with splatter paint, there's not it's not a it's not a smooth finish like he's referring to. You can try to coat that. The problem with a textured finish, like non-skid's different.
Right.
We ceramic coat non-skid floors all day, every day.
That's the inside of the boat.
That's the inside
Rails,
of the boat.
Everything
Yeah,
else.
it is. But like your splatter paint, it's a different texture than even non-skid. So it's harder for ceramic or something to get an even coat and for it to bond and get into all those different shapes
Nooks and crannies.
It's actually, because if you were to look at that under a microscope, it would look like the surface of Mars or something.
Right.
You know, it's super up and down, and but you can wax it. We can ceramic coat it. It's a little harder to do because of the texture and the finish of that, but same things that you use for the rest of the boat, you can use either one on that.
Dominic wants to know, let's see here, he said 303 Airspace for upholstery has done well for me.
That's 303 makes some awesome stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, awesome. They started out making stuff for the military primarily.
Okay.
And I use some of their products.
Is that cleaner or preventative or both?
That's a cleaner. It says it's a preventative and cleaner. I'm not a big believer in like an all-in-one kind of deal.
Right.
That's why I think you need to use a separate sealant.
Okay.
Like I mentioned from Stark Yacht Care, they do, cushion upholstery sealant that you can do after your initial cleaning.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of this question I have is that some of these soaps that you buy now have with wax, or what I'm saying, is that just a gimmick? Or
man, that's a wonderful question. I'm glad you asked that. So a wash and wax, okay, what wax does, wax again is soft. If you use wax that's in with your boat, like in with your boat wash, number one, it's not strong enough to protect your boat for any amount of time. You take that boat out one time,
right?
It's like taking your car through a quick wash and getting a wash and wax,
right?
They're giving you the cheapest, the lowest amount of wax possible,
and the way it's applied.
Yeah, because
you're just going to take a brush and
correct.
You're going to miss spots and all over.
Yeah, it's done. It's gone. Your wax is gone. But that's a great question, especially when it comes to ceramic coated boats. You don't want to use a wash and wax. You want to use a straight boat soap. And what I have found, especially with darker color boats like black boats, if you use that, they tend to attract water spots more so than just a straight wax. I mean, I'm sorry, a straight soap.
Yeah.
So that's a great question. And there are, again, going back to the Dawn and bleach comment I made earlier, the detailing chemical world, that's a multi-billion-dollar a year industry, and it's not that way as a gimmick or some snake oil or something. There's a reason why there are dedicated boat soaps versus Dawn.
Okay.
Right.
Dawn's a stripper. So if you're using wax, all of y'all out there that are using like Colonite or another type of wax, and you're going and you're washing it with Dawn, that Dawn is eating that wax right off.
I met a stripper named Dawn at Scuttlebutt.
Yeah, but she's out of alert now because it's closed down.
Did you go to the VIP room?
No, I can't answer that question.
He didn't have enough money. He just got his boat wax. He didn't have enough money.
Couldn't get in. Shit. So you mentioned earlier though. So say we're doing all the preventative maintenance the right way. I got you putting wax on the boat. It's in good condition. I take it out for a day on the water. How do I clean it when I get home? What's the best way? And I'm going to go out on a limb and assume it's not the pressure washer that I use. Is that correct?
No.
Actually, pressure wash it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I've heard not pressure wash it.
The worst thing you can do on top of Dawn and bleach is to use something like on-off hull cleaner. That's an acidic-based hull cleaner. What that's doing is it's eating any kind of wax that you had on there to begin with. And then let's go a step further. Once it's done eating the wax, because what are you doing? You're walking around spraying the boat, and you're just making your way around the boat. You're not sitting there spraying it right off. It's eating through that water line, and then it's going to your gel coat. Then it's gonna dry your gel coat out, and then the pores in your gel coat are gonna open up, we talked earlier, and it's gonna allow staining to occur. Again, I don't get paid any money to throw anybody's products out there, but Booyah is a really good non-acidic hull cleaner that you can use. It takes a little longer to work versus hull cleaner, because hull cleaner within 30 seconds, it'll eat that stuff right off.
That's like that, yeah.
You got to have a little bit more patience with Booyah, but it is definitely safer for your boat than hull cleaner.
Dominic says salty hull.
Yes, anything like salt away, salt be gone.
Salt away, yeah, I've heard that.
All those products are really good products. I highly recommend any of those, because if you've got a pressure washer at home, a lot of those you can get the kit with a foam cannon.
See,
That's what he
I
just said.
got.
That's what he said with a foam.
Dude,
cannon.
I got a foam cannon.
Yeah.
It changed my life.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not dragging around a bucket,
Right.
anything. It's just you hook it onto the hose.
So is this something we need to do every time we get home? Or is
Absolutely.
I do it every
absolutely.
time.
If you're in
Okay.
salt water, absolutely.
Okay.
If you should be flushing your motor
correct?
all the time.
Chris told us
every
that.
time.
Yeah.
And then just like with your motor, you want to desalt your boat.
Okay.
And so with those
and the trailer,
products,
don't forget about the trailer and the hub. So you'll be at a hole and
absolutely.
hitch, broke down.
Yeah.
So typically the way those work is you're able to foam cannon your whole boat and you let it sit there for about 2 minutes, drink you a beer, whatever you're drinking, and you rinse it off. And if you've got like a fish blood or something that's on the floor, you can typically use like degreaser or something to get that off. If it's ceramic coated, obviously it's going to be a lot easier to clean than if it's just waxed or you have no kind of protection on there at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because typically it's the captain, we get all the work, right? So
Right.
we got to prep the boat. We got to pack the boat. We have to launch the boat.
Gotta
We have
clean
to
the boat,
drive the
yeah.
boat. And guess what happens when you get back?
Clean.
Yeah,
them.
clean the boat.
Everybody leaves.
Yeah. Yeah.
I gotta take a shower. I gotta run the kids here.
Yes.
Right. You're like,
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll just clean
And
it
it's
too.
like,
Yeah.
oh, sure. And again, I have a 23-foot boat. And before I did my own boat, it would take me 45 minutes to an hour
Mhm.
by myself. With it being ceramic coated, it takes me about 20 minutes.
Yeah. But see, I want to take care of my boat. Like I don't want a dirty boat.
Right.
So when people get off my boat and leave, I'm like, yeah, now I can do it like the way I want it. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Because
Yeah.
if it's not yours, you're not going to pay as much
Correct.
detail to what
Correct.
it should be.
Correct.
But I got all girls. So as soon as they get off the boat, they go straight to the bathroom, take a shower, sit on the couch. I'm like, what the hell's going
Yeah,
on
man,
here?
you're screwed on the hill.
There's no, but they do. They do.
You know, it's funny we mentioned that at the boat show. What I found to be surprising is the amount of wives that said, "Oh, I'm the one that cleans the boat."
My wife will. My
Yeah.
wife and my oldest daughter will. My youngest daughter, you can hang it up. She ain't touching anything. She just wants to spray the hose all over the place.
Yeah. Like, not on the boat.
Yeah, on the car,
Yeah,
inside the
The
garage,
dry bag, all the
Yeah.
dry bag, the towels. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Did we cover this? Oh, you mentioned the boat show, and we were talking about this. I remember at the boat show, you had the ceramic coating, right? But is there a new product that you're saying is the
I know where you're going.
Bottom paint.
bottom? Thank you.
Bottom
Thank
paint.
you.
Yeah,
Bottom
we went
paint.
over
Shit.
bottom paint. And the story of bottom paint is if you leave a boat in the water, barnacles, all that stuff's going to eat it up. But bottom paint is ugly.
Correct.
And it's
Super ugly.
it brings your boat value down.
Correct.
Like when you go to resell that thing, especially the ones that paint the foot on their motors and
Yeah.
all that stuff, the same thing. I don't want to buy a boat with bottom paint on.
And it's heavier too, right? And creates more
is.
drag.
It is. So bottom paint typically has metals like copper and other metals that are in there. So number one, it's not great for the environment. It does fade over time.
It's terrible. It looks terrible.
It doesn't look great.
Yeah.
I unfortunately have it on my boat because whomever I bought it from had
Had
it on there.
before,
Yeah.
So I'm dealing with that. And it takes away from your top end speed and it takes away from your fuel economy. And it may not be a big deal on like a 23-foot center console, but it's a huge deal when you put it on a 55 Hatteras.
Well, yeah, when you're running
And
offshore.
you're running
yeah.
offshore and you're fishing hard and doing these tournaments and you're spending thousands of dollars in fuel.
Which is the boat that I would think would be more likely to have it.
Right. Because they stay in the water.
They do.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. They have to have that or you're going to get barnacles and growth and everything you don't want on the bottom of the boat. So going into what where you're going
Right.
with that, we are doing it's a newer product. It's been about 3 years. It's called Holmax. NASCO Marine out of Florida makes this product and it's called Holmax. And what it is a clear coating that goes on the bottom of your boat. You have to prep the bottom of the boat just like you would for bottom paint, so it has to be sanded, and then you do a primer over that, and then you coat it with this. And when I say coating, it is an actual coating. If you were to peel it off of the boat, which you won't be able to once it's cured, but there have been tests. It's like a stretchy, like rubbery type material.
So it's like almost like a wrap, kind of.
It almost, I guess you could maybe along those lines. But the difference is it doesn't decrease your fuel economy. It doesn't decrease your top end speed. It adds to it.
So wow, so it reduces friction.
We've seen the biggest difference we saw was a 5 mile an hour top end speed increase on speed.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's a lot.
So if you're fishing tournaments, a lot of times it's a big deal. Fuel economy, we've seen in between 0.3 and 0.5 gallons an hour increase by doing the whole max.
Damn.
The boat has to be taken off the trailer, obviously.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a way to do that, I have partnered up with a local boat yard, and it's
Make
not
it happen.
Yeah, I can make it happen. It's a flat fee. Typically on like a smaller boat, obviously it's going to be cheaper. So you may be looking at, $300 to $500 to have that pulled off of the trailer and put up on stands.
Right.
Obviously, if you do a sport fisher, that's going to be more money.
Right.
Yeah.
But
so you can do it on stands.
Yes, and when we're talking about sport fishers, because you brought up a great point, that's the majority of boats that have bottom paint.
Right.
And so you say, well, man, I don't want to have to I just had my bottom paint done last year and it's in great shape. I don't want to have to redo that. So the beautiful thing about Holmax is it can go over a non-ablative bottom paint.
Okay.
Which most bottom paints are non-ablative now. But that's called hot coating. So you just go right over it.
Okay.
Another awesome feature about Holmax is, let's just say you pull it, you got a 55 Hatteras, you put it on the yard at the end of the year, and the bottom of the hull looks great, right? But you got one spot that's got a little bit of growth. With Holmax, it's self-adhering. So you don't have to sand anything. You don't have to prime anything.
Fix that area.
Literally roll it on with a paint roller, and you're good to go. Another benefit of Holmax is the cleaning aspect. So just like ceramic on your gel coat,
right?
Holmax, they've got several YouTube videos. You can pull up Holmax on YouTube and watch some of the tutorials on there.
Uh-huh.
But you can have your boat in the water, and there can be growth on there. You just take your hand, and it just comes right off.
Really?
It comes right off. With ceramic on gel coat, so ceramic's not meant to be submerged 24/7. That's why there's bottom paint.
Right. Yeah, that's you don't go past the water line.
Right.
Correct. So with ceramic on gel coat, you can take a wet rag and just wipe your water line right off. Typically, like I was in Venice last year doing a 31 Cape Horn and for a charter captain, and he called me 2 weeks later. He said, man, my boat sat in the water for 4 or 5 days. I pulled it out. All I did was take a rag and wipe right down the gel coat, and it came right off. I didn't have to use any acid cleaner or anything. And that's the way Holmax works.
He's never launched the St. Martin Bayou.
And that's the same way Holmax works with the bottom of your boat.
Yeah.
So you're not having growth that attaches to the bottom of your boat. So any of y'all out there with boats that stay in the water 24/7,
look that product up.
Yeah. And what's the price on that? Did you go over that?
No, I didn't. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Again, typically you're looking somewhere, and again, depending on the price of the boat,
right,
you're somewhere between $175 and $200 a foot.
Yeah.
It's not an inexpensive product, but again, it's something you do. It's been water tested for 3 years. That's what we know.
That's the lifespan of it.
It's a new product.
Okay.
So 3 years is what we have history.
Data on. Yeah.
That's what we have data on.
Yeah.
Yeah. 3 years.
But I mean, just think about taking your boat out of the water and just going
right
with a brush and knocking all the barnacles off of it.
Yeah. Or a pressure washer.
Yeah.
And just seeing all that algae and stuff just come right off.
Yeah. Greg mentioned in the comments that he said he does cars also. He did my neighbor's Tesla. So we haven't really talked a ton about that other side of your business.
Yeah.
What you say you like doing the marine stuff is that's your baby, right?
That's my passion.
Yeah.
Boats are my passion.
But what about vehicles?
You brought up earlier, you said, what is your mix? And we didn't really get to answer that. But during the slow season, when people should be contacting me with their boats and they don't,
you be doing cars.
I do. It's nothing it's not out of the norm for us to do 70 to 80 cars in a month.
Holy moly.
Yeah, that's mobile.
And that's mobile too, yeah.
That's mobile. Now, we do ceramic coatings on vehicles. We do basic details that start at $100 for a small car. It's not super expensive, all the way up to a ceramic coating on a vehicle, which, again, with a boat, it's like you have to look at it and say, hey, what do you have? What do I have going on? What do I have to prep? What do I have to do for the price to be figured out? But we do like today we did We did a Porsche. I had to do a full paint correction on the guy. Thought it was a great idea to white spray paint in his garage with the door open.
Oh yeah, that's always a good idea.
It went all over this Porsche.
On a Porsche.
Porsche. Yeah.
Well, he wasn't trying to get the car.
No,
it just
overspray.
Overspray. Yeah.
So we spent, and it's a
all
tiny
car,
tiny car, little two-door tiny car, and we spent a collective 5 hours on that little car this morning.
Just get the paint off and get it.
We
back
did,
on.
yeah. We got it all. We got it off.
Yeah.
So we do that. We can wet sand. We can any type of paint correction that you need on a vehicle. We do as well.
You do interiors, I'm sure, right? Like
correct.
Take them back to life.
Correct.
Back to life.
And I need to there's a side note for all the listeners out there. If you've got like a 2006 anything with cloth seats and you think it can come back to like it did when it rolled off the showroom floor, it's not.
Yeah, it's not happening.
Your best bet is going buy some seat covers.
Yeah.
That's it.
Go to Walmart, get $20 seat covers.
Yeah, that's for sure.
I mean, you're not. I mean, you can't fix everything, right? I mean, once it gets to a point, you got to either get done.
And look, most people, 99% of the people that I deal with are wonderful, and that's one thing I really enjoy about my business is I'm a people person, and so I enjoy interacting with people, and I'm very clear with them in the beginning. Hey, look, you've got cloth seats, and it's a 10-year-old vehicle. I can't guarantee that 100% of these things are going to come out, but we're going to do our best to get what we can.
Yeah,
but just understand it may not look like it did the day you bought it.
And people should know that.
You got to manage customer expectations.
Yes,
right.
Absolutely.
You mentioned earlier about missing a hatch or something.
Yeah.
I've ordered. You do business with companies, and I had one I ordered some products from, and they got the color wrong when I ordered that other tent for the sound tent. It came back. It wasn't the correct color.
But they did it. Like that.
Yeah, they were like, tell us what we need to do. Tell us what, send us some more reference material so we can get the color right. And it cost me about 2 weeks of time.
Yeah.
Now, granted, I didn't have a pressing issue that I needed it right then and there.
Right.
But the fact that they corrected, I'm like, hey, man, I live in this world. I know how shit can go.
Yeah.
Thanks for fixing it. That's all I ask.
And so that's something that sticks out to me when you're dealing with a business is, I'm a small business. I'm not, I don't have 50 employees, but I'm the guy that's sponsoring Little League Baseball.
Correct.
I'm the guy that's donating money to, feed the needy, or you don't see Walmart and some of these other big companies that are doing that.
Yeah. It's like that meme on Facebook that says, pay attention to the signs on your baseball, your kids' baseball field. Cause that's the people you should be supporting.
And this is not me patting myself on the back at all. But my daughter started playing softball for the first time this year, and they didn't have a sponsor.
Right.
And I said, done. You have a sponsor now.
Yeah.
It's all about giving back, and you going back to your company you dealt with taking care of the issue.
Yeah, they fixed
it. To me, it says more to me when somebody makes a mistake.
Right.
What do they do?
Yeah.
What do they do? Do they say, hey, you know what? It's all on me. Funny story. I'm going to throw this back on y'all.
Yeah.
So
throw it.
I'm going to throw it right back on y'all.
What do we do?
So at the bow show, Joey walks by and said, hey.
No, it was me. It was me.
Yeah.
And so I said, hey, man, I spoke to y'all last year at the boat show. You were supposed to get me on the podcast.
I felt like a total asshole because I'm like, I know it happens, and I know there's other people out there that we spoke to.
But you know what you did? You said, hey, I'm going to get with
Joey. Yeah, I was like, I'm going to get with Joey because Joey's got the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
He had the schedule.
And you said, I will be back with him at your booth within an hour.
Yeah,
it was like 20 minutes later, you were in my booth, and you said,
we got it.
How does this day work for what works for you? And I said, hey, this is
March. We've had this date since a boat show.
We have.
And here I am.
Yeah, but I felt like a total ass, man. I was like, shit, because I remember talking to you. I mean, it clicked.
But look, I wasn't upset. I wasn't angry. We're all busy.
But I think though, who was the woman with you at the show?
That was one of my best friend's wives who helps me with my marketing. And,
I think she sent it to the wrong email. Remember?
I think she did.
It wasn't on us. Yeah, but it could have been.
Yeah,
it could have been.
It very well could have been.
Very well could have been. Yeah. I didn't even question. I was like, no, it was us.
No, we screwed up.
She was honest, and she was like, no, I think I sent it to the wrong thing. I was like,
yeah, but we're here. We got it done.
We did.
Absolutely.
It was good too.
Freaking great show.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on that you want to make people know that we didn't even that we don't know enough about to ask?
I think that's again, if anybody out there is interested in having their boat or vehicle cleaned,
Right.
reach out to me on Facebook. You can message me. My cell phone is on there. That's a cell. So you can text me, call me. If I don't get to you, leave a voicemail. Sometimes we have equipment going and I don't hear my phone go off.
Right.
Yeah.
But I am usually very attentive at getting back with anybody.
And your boats, the detail, they have to be on a trailer, right? You got to pull them out of the water, obviously, right?
That's a great question that I didn't think to answer.
Yeah.
Yes, 99% of the boats we do are on trailers. We can do a boat in a lift, but I need to look at that and see if we have.
You got to be able to reach it. You got to be able to do all that stuff.
Yeah, like back in the first week of January, we did a brand new 27-foot Everglades, and that's a $300,000 plus boat, and it was in a boathouse, and there was no way for the guy to get. Sometimes you're in these canals and the water, though in the winter time, the water's so low you can't put that boat in the water. So
you can't get out.
I said, look, man, if you let me go look at it. I went and looked at the boat. He sent me a deposit, and I said, we can make it work. So I went and got 16-foot 6x6s. I got 3 of them.
Made you a deck.
And made myself a deck, and we roped them together. And
how fun was that?
Well, this is where being the owner comes in handy. Is I don't do that. That's where I'm like, hey, my main guy Derek. I'm like, Derek,
go to Lowe's,
walk the plank.
Oh, okay, I got you. You can sub it out.
I was like, look, I said, look, man, I paid my dues. I did.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, for sure.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
But typically we want it on a trailer. But like last year, I did a 37-foot Grady White Canyon, beautiful boat. Again, those bigger boats sometimes are harder to get on a trailer.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did it in the lift. And, I had one guy holding another guy literally by his ankles while he was bent over the side of the boat to buff, to prep the boat so we could ceramic coat
OSHA certified.
Right. We're straight up OSHA over here.
He had a safety belt on.
He had a safety glasses on. What do you want?
Yeah. The takeaway I think from today is he gave you all the information on how to do it, but be smart enough to not do it yourself and just call the professionals, man.
Yeah.
So
and get it in early too, even in the off season.
Even if you try it yourself and you get to a spot where you're like, oh crap, what have I done?
How many of those calls do you get?
Yeah.
I would figure it's a decent amount.
We always ask this question. Let's ask it one more time before we end it.
Yeah.
Craziest thing you ever seen on a job site?
That's a good one. Like worst condition,
craziest thing you've ever seen.
Somebody messed it up
like,
so bad.
When you walk out there and said,
"This is it.
This ain't me, bro."
If you pull up my Facebook, any listener, pull up my Facebook, and you'll have to scroll back to probably November or October.
On your photos?
Yes, you'll see it. Words do no justice. To see, it was a 21-foot Key West.
So it's a boat.
Little cuddy cabin. I'm going to start out by saying what I had to do. Tell you what I.
Oh, that's it. Yeah,
with the kid
with the sawzall in front of it. Is that a sawzall?
No.
Okay.
No,
that was pretty bad too, though.
No, that was a piece of the boat I cut out to show you the difference between what it looked like and what I can make it look like.
Okay.
That was my son. That was a fun little. But this boat,
that's bad too.
I'm
looking. Hold on.
I'm going to tell your listeners.
Yeah.
We had to start out by borrowing hedge clippers from the neighbor to. You can't make this up.
We had a Cadillac on here.
Yeah.
Oh shit, that looks bad.
We had to trim. Well, I had to trim the limbs of this sago palm that was huge, and then drag it to the road just so we could get to that side of the boat. And this boat is. He finds it.
I'm gonna tell you, I usually get have to when I audit most people's pages, they don't have very much photos on their social media.
You're killing it.
You are the opposite.
Yeah.
There's 1,000 photos on here, so good for you.
I post every day, man.
Yes, good for you.
I mean, we work every day, so I post every day just to let people know, hey, we're out and about and we're working.
So
but
kudos.
this was a little 21-foot Key West, and the back of it looked like it had been literally caught on fire. It was. And the guy was like, oh, I said, when's the last time you took this boat out? About 6 months ago. His neighbor informed me it was 8 years ago, not 6 months ago.
You said it would have been in October. I'm back in February, so I didn't went too far, right? February of 2022.
Yeah, you went too far.
Yeah, I went too far.
It's a little.
So when you get that far out, I mean, is it worth bringing back to life?
That's the question.
So that is a great question, and I explained to the gentleman, again, we're going back to like our talks about gel coat and all that, and I said, look, man, I can only do so much with this. And I said, I don't know what your expectations are,
Yeah.
but there's only so much I can do. And he was like, look, I'm not going to buy a new boat. I'm just not doing it. So, I quoted it. It was horrible. So I quoted him a price, and the whole boat may have been worth
What you
That
quoted
much?
him. Yeah. But
Literally.
what the hell?
Literally.
But I
So-
guess that's cheaper than $100,000 boat.
it
we're
is
talking
cheaper
about.
than $100,000 boat. So he had us do it, and anyway, you know what? I can pull it up faster on my Instagram.
On the gram, baby.
On the gram.
It's on the gram.
It is on the gram. Yeah. So we did it, and the filth that came off of that was just insane.
I bet it killed every blade of grass that was in the whole vicinity of the whole.
As a matter of fact,
big dead zone this wide.
yeah.
Here it is.
Show it to
November
me.
the 4th.
Show me what it looks like on your phone, because I think I found it right here.
My internet's not working
Oh,
here,
great.
but that's it. Is that what you-
Yeah. I got okay. Let's see. It's right here.
November 4th. Here
Yeah.
we go.
Oh, now scrolling through all the pictures
Look
super
at it.
fast because it's the gram. I don't
Oh,
stop
all
that.
the leaves in the back of it. Yeah, he
You
took
want-
that out 6 months ago.
You on Gram or you on
I'm on
Facebook?
the gram,
He's
yeah.
on the gram. Yeah.
So yeah, you can see just how now. Like look at the back. Look at the before and after that back.
Yeah. Okay. So I had those. I'm gonna see if I can get. I
Yeah,
don't
that's
know.
the one he had up. That's
And then you can actually see the gel coat changing colors between my cut line where I buffed and
Oh, yeah.
polished compared to what wasn't done. And it just changed the color of the boat. It like
I really want to get
It's
it
just
on here
nasty.
for the people.
it's
that
just nasty.
that's
If you have a way of
ridiculous.
sharing that with
Yeah, I'm
people,
trying,
please
but
do. Because
He was right there. He was.
I had
on
it. Yeah, it was one of the ones I was
It's
thinking it was.
No,
but
it was nuts.
just go to the go to Premier Detailing on
Yeah.
Facebook, and you'll see it. It's by.
I mean, I guess you just got to be honest with the guy and say, like you did. I mean,
Yeah.
you could only you're not
Yeah.
you're not Jesus Christ.
Right.
You can't bring people back from the dead,
Right.
which that boat is.
As
you
a
know
matter
what
of
I'm saying?
fact, look, my full time guy was like, "Are we really doing this boat?"
Yeah, is it
I was
worth
like,
it?
"You know what, man?
Let's do it.
But sometimes
Do it for the gram.
anybody that considers themselves good at what they do, and I'm not. Anybody that knows me will tell you I'm the most laid back, most humblest person you will meet. But I want to challenge sometimes.
Right.
I want to see. I've been doing this a long time, but I want to see what can I make this look like. What
Yeah.
can I do to just shock people into seeing what can be done? And again, the boat was not perfect. Okay,
Right.
it was in
It
rough.
still had flaws, but you couldn't do anything about it.
There's
Yeah.
some things you can't do anything about, but man, the guy was just blown away. He just like, is this the same boat? Did you go and
I just took this boat
I said,
out
hey-
6 months. It didn't look like
Yeah,
this.
6 months, that's like 6
I said, hey
months.
man, we went and traded your boat in on a newer one.
It's a newer one. But it's the same year.
Yeah. All right, I give up. I tried.
Yeah.
I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it.
November 4th. If
Yeah,
you scroll
yeah,
back,
go back,
on
you
my
get it.
Facebook page,
So
you'll see.
where are y'all most active? Are you most active on Instagram? Facebook's all probably linked together.
Honestly, I'm more active on Facebook. Typically, Instagram I'll post if it's some like big job or something. I'm not one to post on Instagram if it's just like, we did 5 basic details on clean vehicles today. It's just
It gets
I'll go to-
monotonous.
it gets monotonous, and
Yeah.
Have you ventured out? Have you doing the TikTok thing? Are you doing any of that stuff?
man, I guess I'm a technotard when
There you
it comes
go.
to,
There you
They
go.
call that.
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah.
But I've got the guys that work for me are very good at doing that.
Hey, incentivize them to do it, because
Yeah.
those before and
Yeah.
afters, especially, get creative with the video, and
Yeah.
you
Absolutely.
might get more
Killer.
business than you want
Yeah.
to deal with, but it's always a good problem. So, but no, man, Donnie, thank you for stopping in.
Thank y'all for
talking
having
to
me.
us. I'm glad we got
Appreciate
to make it happen.
Yeah,
You know what I
absolutely.
mean?
even though we dropped the ball the first year. Second year is even better, though.
That's right. We have more to talk about.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So everybody, thank y'all for tuning in. All the comments, we really appreciate the comments. It's all over the place tonight.
Good.
This evening. So that's really, really good. So Download the app, the Brownwater Banter app, if you haven't got it on your phone yet. We want to thank Lamy Electric for sponsoring the app this month. When you hit play inside the on-demand section, when you can listen to the episodes right inside the app. You can watch the YouTube videos right inside the app. So you'll see their ad come up. If you're in the market, you need a good electrical company, hit them up.
Call Nick and them.
Yep.
They'll get it done.
Look it up, Lamy Electric online. So we appreciate it. Y'all keep watching.
Yep. Your Facebook and Instagram, go through it one more time.
Premier Detailing on Facebook, and you can pull it up on Instagram under Premier Detailing.
And your phone number's on your Facebook. I looked.
It's on my Facebook.
Yep.
Yes,
so
yes.
Make that call.
Line.
Don't do it yourself. Just let him do it.
Don't DIY. Just come off some money.
We'll see.